FPS games. Coming in different sizes and flavors, I like to compare them to a build your own pizza kind of thing. You've got the crust, which is the very foundation of the game. Then you've got the sauce, which helps refine the crust and builds upon it. Next, you've got the cheese, which helps melt everything together. And for the toppings, well, just pick and choose whatever you want. I don't know. Okay, well, maybe a pizza wasn't the best metaphor, but the point I'm trying to make here is that FPS games are pretty generous in flavor no matter what type of gamer you are. For instance, let's look at Titanfall 2. You've got fast movement, different abilities, all these game modes.
Oh yeah, there's also tie-ins!
And then on the other side of the spectrum, you've got a game like Rainbow Six Siege. Instead of promoting the balls-to-the-walls movement Titanfall 2 does, true to its name, Siege promotes a more methodical and tactical approach to a situation. Compared to Titanfall 2, Rainbow's movement feels a lot more sluggish. You've got over 60 playable operators, which all have their own gadgets and gizmos for different situations, and there's only really like 2 to 3 ways to play the game. Now, as an adrenaline junkie, I tend to gravitate toward these quick and fast games which grant me instant gratification. But for those who actually have a functional brain, unlike me, they might prefer to outsmart their opponents through their quick wits and smart thinking. And you may be thinking, okay, well, that's cool, Reach, but what does any of this have to do with the title of the video? Well, I'll give it to you straight. I'm getting tired of FPS games. Or at least the ones that are easily accessible to me. See, I want to stress this because, well, I'm not exactly rich, nor do I have any particularly powerful hardware. And in case you haven't noticed from my other videos, I'm certified console gamer. So I don't really have the luxury of spending money on new games that I may or may not like. Despite these circumstances, I'm going to make use of my First Amendment to complain. I know, shocking, right? But please don't misunderstand my intentions. I don't really hold any malicious feelings towards these games and their developers, and at the end of the day, I'm just some random chump on the internet.
This baby got here! Huh? There was a team? Why didn't you guys tell me?
Contrary to what I'm about to say, I actually do love playing Apex Legends. It's got a spot on my top 5 list, and truthfully, this game has taken more time out of me than, well, any other game. And I suppose you can say that's part of the problem. Now, I'm no pro or esports legend, but after playing a game for 4 years and counting, it'll be hard to not notice the little cracks and imperfections that start to pop up. For me, I began to see these cracks during Season 6.
Ramparts in down.
From what I remember, this season was pretty... eh. Oh hey, Rampart's kind of cool. Well, what about Evo Shields? This season made them the standard armor for... Okay, well, what about the events? You can't mess up the events, right? Let's see. September Soiree. It was a rerun of the Grand Soiree featured in Season 3, but with fewer modes this time. Huh. Oh, okay, here we go. Aftermarket. It introduced the LTM Flashpoint, which was so good that it's only ever appeared twice. Well, at least we have Fight or Fright, you know, that cool solo mode where, and they changed it to a gimmicky form of trios. After Season 6, it was just never the same, man. Before, I would consistently have over 1,000 games per season. And now, with the exception of these two, it seems like I'm playing the game less and less. So, let's come back to the present. Why am I tired of this game? Now, I already mentioned earlier, time is a pretty crucial factor. But then again, time is inevitable. This slow decay can be at least mitigated though through what the developers choose to do within that time. And well, seeing as it's being mentioned here, it's not looking too good. Truthfully, I could probably do a whole nother video just talking about my grievances about Apex alone, but for your sake and mine, we'll just have to make do with the TLDR. Lack of innovation. I don't know what it is, but the folks over at Respawn have a bad habit of, well, re-releasing things that were already present at one point in the game. Whether it be recolors of skins or
replay the same Christmas event we've had since the beginning of the game.
It feels like we're getting more of the same, but with different packaging. Prices. Like with any other modern live service, these microtransactions are expensive. What's even worse is that recolors of skins in this game pretty much cost the same as their base counterparts. In some cases, you can buy recolors in the shop using the free secondary red credits or crafting materials, but if you can't do that, well, You gotta either buy a loot box, buy a bundle, or buy it standalone, which is not easy on the wallet. They're even starting to do recolors of heirlooms, you know, those cosmetics that can cost you up to $500 if you're unlucky. Solo queuing. The solo queue experience in this game is downright horrendous. If you're not trying your absolute hardest in every match, it's easy to get mowed down by more coordinated teams, and you have to roll the dice in each match with the hopes of getting a teammate that actually knows what they're doing.
Let's go, baby. Lifeline! Lifeline! Where's me? Lifeline, where's Lifeline?
For me, this has made pubs just downright unplayable without a friend, and whenever I do solo queue, it's almost exclusively in ranked. And yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say about Apex. If not for its movement and fun gameplay, I probably would have dropped this game a long time ago. However, it seems like the devs are heading in the right direction for the most part, and from the bits and crumbs that I've gathered, I reckon the next season will be a pretty big one. Will it reignite my hormonal teenager passion I had for the game years ago? Probably not, but at least it can't get worse from here. Right?
Alright, I got this.
Oh boy, where do I even start with this one? Well, let's first fix the title. That's better. Despite the game being in probably the most fun state it's ever been in, for every step Blizzard takes, it seems like they also take 2 steps back. Coupled with some other matters, this game and studio have really fallen from grace. You know PvE, the whole reason why putting a 2 next to the title was justified, quote unquote? Well, as it turns out, lying and setting unrealistic expectations is quite the standard nowadays.
Oh no!
That full-fledged campaign with branching character abilities and paths? Pfft, nah. Broken promises aside, let's talk about what we've got in front of us. Gameplay-wise, Overwatch 2 feels a lot better than its predecessor. The removal of the second tank feels great, as now the tank actually feels like a tank. They're big and beefy and are often the centerpiece of any good push as a result. This format change to 5v5 also tends to make games faster paced, since kills are a lot more important. As a Reaper enjoyer, this makes playing the flank a lot more worthwhile and valuable to the team. Also, the lack of hard CC, like May's old freeze and Cassidy's old stun, is great, because that means there's less bullshit. Moving on to modes, the removal of 2CP, I couldn't really care less. Hybrid and payload maps generally play the same as before, and the new game mode called Push really has me on the fence. On one hand, the moving objective feels dynamic, and the new maps really open the gates for some cool flanks and plays. On the other hand, sometimes it feels like an absolute chore to play through an entire round. Now, I'm not saying that this is a bad mode, but I'm not saying that this is a great mode either. It's easy to get stomped, and if one team makes it a certain distance from the midpoint, well, then good luck marching it all the way back and trying to push it back towards their side. And so while Overwatch 2 made the gameplay loop feel a lot better than Overwatch 1, at the end of the day, it usually just ends up as a dogpile on the objective. Besides the occasional moving platform or two, the maps in Overwatch really offer no kind of dynamic elements either. It'd be cool if they added more environmental hazards and utilities like jump pads, just so each map doesn't just feel like a simple change of scenery. If you liked Overwatch 1, then you'll probably most definitely like Overwatch 2. Personally, I like to play something that doesn't feel like a reskin of the original, but I guess if it ain't broke, then you don't gotta fix it.
Don't miss.
You fuck off! Shut up!
Call of Duty. Again, it's another game that is just meh. In fact, it's so meh that I couldn't be bothered to gather any footage, so you and me, we're gonna pretend that this footage I yoinked is totally mine. If I were to put this game in a room filled with other FPS titles, the only unique thing I could say about it is that its name is Call of Duty. Besides the gorgeous graphics and superb audio design, it just feels like more of the same. Warzone sucks, DMZ is mid, Spec Ops is starving, and raids... okay, well, the raids are actually pretty cool. As for the PvP multiplayer, the new modes are pretty cool, I guess, but I'm gonna keep this section short, because, frankly, there's not much to talk about here. everything that I would say if I were to show it here would pretty much just be regurgitated sentiment from every other person who's played this game. Like with Overwatch 2, if you like more of the same, then you'll probably like Modern Warfare 2. So yeah, I'm gonna end it here. I was originally gonna put Rainbow and Valorant on here too, but I figured that would probably be best if I stuck to the 3 games I play the most nowadays. Anyways, I would rather leave this video on a positive note, so I'll show you 3 FPS games that I've really been enjoying. I already mentioned it earlier, but I love Titanfall 2. The setting is great, the movement is fluid, and well, Titans are just freaking awesome. Then there's TF2. Besides having a huge influence on my childhood, TF2 is just really well designed. Unforgettable characters and great gameplay, and I feel like it's the only casual multiplayer shooter that just feels, well, casual to me. And okay, the last FPS game. I gotta really make this one count, don't I? I'm thinking Pac-Man.